You think you knew Ellen DeGeneres. The dancing, the smile, the Be Kind t-shirts. But what if I told you the woman America trusted for almost 20 years was hiding a secret so dark she just sold off her mansions, dumped $10 million in art, and fled the country in the middle of the night? And the only person willing to expose her is her oldest friend.
I want to talk about things. If Bill Cosby is accused of sedating and raping all these women and it's the #1 story in the news, I want to talk about that, yes.
Rosie O'Donnell. After 30 years of silence, Rosie is finally talking. And what she's saying about Ellen, Epstein Island, and what really happened behind those studio walls is sending Hollywood into full panic mode. Stay till the end, because the final piece of evidence will change how you see Ellen forever. Thank you for subscribing to the channel. Now let's get into it.
I learned that things happened here that never should have happened. I take that very seriously, and I want to say I am so sorry to the people who were affected.
And I come to find out there's not that much Hollywood in Hollywood. The Hollywood in my mind is not the Hollywood in real life. I want to talk about things. If Bill Cosby is accused of sedating and raping all these women and it's the #1 story in the news, I want to talk about that, yes. You know, celebrity culture has, I think, collapsed at this point, and I think that's a death that needed to happen, you know, because the amount of excess, the amount of debauchery is stunning.
30 years. Think about that for a second. 3 full decades of sitting on the kind of secrets that could burn Hollywood to the ground. And Rosie kept every single one of them locked away until now. Because here's the thing nobody wants to admit. Every guest who has ever walked onto a stage and finally told the truth has been holding that truth in for years, sometimes decades. And the moment one of them cracks, the rest start falling like dominoes. Rosie just became the first domino. And what she's revealing about Ellen and Epstein Island isn't just gossip. It's the beginning of the end for some of the most powerful people in entertainment.
Both of them are ridiculous. Who thinks that antiquated way? That you're going to find your love in a paradise island and it's going to last forever.
So how did Ellen even get inside that world? It started the moment her daytime show exploded. Suddenly Ellen wasn't just a comedian anymore. She had access. Real access. The kind that gets you on private jets, into locked rooms, and onto islands the public isn't supposed to know about. And Rosie watched the whole transformation happen in real time. She saw Ellen quietly cut off every regular person who knew her before the fame. She watched her stop returning calls, stop showing up, stop being the friend Rosie had built a 30-year bond with. Ellen was being absorbed into the elite circle, and Rosie knew exactly what kind of people lived in that circle. But she said nothing, until 2004, when one single sentence on national television broke her. Ellen sat down with Larry King for what should have been a normal interview. Larry brought up Rosie, just casually mentioned her name. And what Ellen said next, Rosie was watching live, in bed, with her wife, and it shattered her. 22 years later, she's still talking about it, because that was the moment the friendship died, and the moment Rosie started keeping receipts.
Larry King asked her, and Kelly and I were in bed watching it, and he asked her, "Whatever happened to Rosie O'Donnell? Her show went down the tubes." And Ellen said, "I don't know, Rosie. We're not friends." And that was like one of the most painful things that ever happened to me in show business in my life.
One sentence. That's all it took to end 30 years. And from the second those words left Ellen's mouth, Rosie made a decision she would carry quietly for the next 2 decades. She was done. Done with Ellen. Done with Hollywood's silence. Done pretending she didn't know what she knew. Because Rosie wasn't just a former friend. She was a witness. She knew about the private trips Ellen took that never made the news. She knew about the gatherings in places no camera was allowed. And most importantly, she knew exactly what was happening on Epstein Island.
I noticed right away there was a different culture about celebrity. Broke my heart to be in a business that creates and sells those lies for profit. You know, it was very heavy, to tell you the truth. And I knew in order for me to be a good parent to this 12-year-old child that I've got to be around for 20 more years. I need to take care of myself.
For years, Rosie had to watch the lie play out on television. Ellen smiling, Ellen dancing, Ellen handing out cars and laptops and pretending to be the nicest person on the planet, while Rosie sat at home knowing the truth. And that betrayal, it never healed. Because Rosie understood something most viewers didn't. The The way Ellen treated her was the same way Ellen was treating everyone else behind those studio doors.
The way she treated me must be the way she treats others. And I felt, very betrayed.
And the evidence kept piling up. Employee after employee, guest after guest, story after story of mistreatment, fear, and silence on the Ellen DeGeneres show. Rosie wasn't an exception, she was the pattern. Ellen was treating her closest friends the same way she treated her staff. With cold dismissal, with public denial, with complete disregard. And Rosie felt every bit of it. Then last year, Rosie made a move nobody in Hollywood saw coming. She didn't hold a press conference. She didn't go on a talk show. She quietly fled the country to Ireland. And once she landed, she did something that sent shockwaves through every elite circle in Hollywood. She posted a long statement on Instagram. And right next to it, a photograph of Jeffrey Epstein. That was the warning shot. That was Rosie telling the world she was ready to talk, ready to name names, ready to blow open everything that happened on Epstein Island and every single person tied to it. And Ellen saw it the moment it went up. She knew exactly what Rosie was holding. So in a desperate, sloppy attempt to look innocent, Ellen publicly shared Rosie's post with the caption, "Good for you, Rosie." After ignoring her for 20 years, after humiliating her on national television, after helping blacklist her from Hollywood, suddenly Ellen wanted to play supportive friend. It didn't work, because by then, the newly released Epstein files were already starting to drop. And Ellen's name, it was right there in black and white.
Ellen DeGeneres is named in the Epstein documents, and that part is real. Her name appears in the broader index of over 300 high-profile individuals that show up across the investigative materials. Flight logs, communications, third-party interviews, peripheral records.
When those Epstein files hit the internet, people didn't just skim them, they tore through them. Page by page, name by name. And what came out was the kind of testimony that doesn't just damage a career. It destroys a legacy. Everything Ellen ever wanted us to believe about her, the kindness, the warmth, the Be Kind brand, was being exposed as the most calculated act in modern television history.
The biggest common thread that everyone told me is that what goes on behind the scenes is a far cry from what the show represents in their Be Kind messaging and what the show and what Ellen DeGeneres herself profits off.
And here's the part that should make every single viewer feel sick. Every day for years, she stood on that stage and looked into the camera and told America to be kind, to love each other, to spread positivity, while she was living a completely different life behind closed doors. And she got so arrogant, so untouchable in her own head, she wasn't even bothering to hide it anymore. The proof, the Sandra Bullock segment. If you've never seen it, you need to. Because on live television, Ellen and Sandra openly joked about a beauty treatment made from young human skin cells, foreskin, from children, from far, far away. And they laughed about it on daytime TV. Why would Ellen bring this up on her own show? Why expose something that dark unless you genuinely believed nobody would ever connect the dots? She thought she was untouchable. She thought no one was paying attention. She was wrong.
It is an extraction from a piece of skin that came from a young person far, far away, and they somehow figured out how to extract.
It's foreskin from a Korean baby.
And so we call it. I call it the facial, and I think when you see how good it is to your face, you too will run to your local facialist and say, "Give me the."
Watch it again with everything we know now, and the joke stops being a joke. It becomes a confession. They were hinting at the rituals on live television because in their minds, no one would ever figure it out. But people did figure it out. And once they started digging, they found something even worse. Ellen's connection to the Wayfair scandal. Here's the short version. Wayfair is a massive online furniture company. And for a stretch of time, they were selling industrial cabinets for tens of thousands of dollars. Cabinets that should have cost a few $100. And here's what nobody could explain. Those cabinets were named after real children. Children who had recently gone missing. Internet researchers immediately suspected money laundering. But the deeper theories went somewhere much darker, that these listings were being used to move human beings. Real people. through fake furniture transactions. And Ellen's name kept showing up at the edges of it all. Then came the set design discovery. Researchers pulled up photographs of a temple on Epstein Island and placed them side by side with Ellen's studio set. The palm trees, the blue sky backdrop, the white and blue architecture, the shape, the vibe. It wasn't similar. It was a replica. Why would a daytime talk show host design her set to look exactly like a building on a known trafficking island? There is no innocent answer to that question.
Show him the image of the temple that was on the island. Look at it.
Oh, well, you know where that is too, right? It's a similar image to that, right?
No.
I know Jamie does.
What is it?
It's on the set of a famous talk show that's now not on anymore.
Oh, Ellen? Was that Ellen?
Yeah.
Really?
Ellen didn't just have a TV studio. She had a recreation of that dark sanctuary sitting in the middle of Los Angeles. Same architecture, same creepy energy, same hidden message in plain sight. And the second Rosie started moving, the second that Epstein photo went up on Instagram, Ellen knew. She knew everything she had spent decades building was about to collapse. And what she did next wasn't strategy. It was pure panic. She'd survived public backlash before. We all remember the toxic workplace scandal, the eye contact rule, the abuse stories, the employees too scared to speak. She called getting kicked out of show business a minor inconvenience. That tells you everything. But this was different. This wasn't about being mean to staff. This was about a federal investigation. This was about a judge. The clock was ticking. Her bank accounts, her properties, her assets, all of it could be frozen the moment her name moved up that list. So she did what guilty rich people always do when they panic.
So I'm going to start selling some things that I consider art. Because, you know, they're art. It just depends on if you're the first to put it out. That's how you kind of establish something.
This wasn't a normal auction. This wasn't a, let me find the right buyer situation. This was a fire sale. $10 million in art moved in record time, including pieces by Jean-Michel Basquiat, paintings that normally sit in collectors' vaults for decades. She dumped custom $1 million sheep sculptures by François-Xavier Lalande, pieces that took years to acquire. Gone. Sold. Liquidated. Because she needed cash and she needed it now. Then came the real estate. Her California Bluff-top estate sold for $96 million. The crown jewel of her U.S. property portfolio gone. The Montecito Beach bungalow. Pure chaos. First listed at $29 million. Pulled off the market because they thought they could get more. Realist at $33.9 million. Then as the panic hit and reality set in, slashed right back down to 29. They didn't care about profit anymore. They just needed it sold. Now. Today. Yesterday.
And according to TMZ, she has moved 2 hours outside of London.
When Ellen and Portia touched down in England, they knew they couldn't just vanish. The public would ask questions. So they built a cover story, and they built it fast. Ellen blamed Trump. She blamed the election. She told the world she was disillusioned with America, that she couldn't stand the political climate, that she had to escape. And a lot of people bought it. A lot of people nodded along and said, yeah, I'd leave too. But it was a lie. Because here's the part the media buried. Ellen and Portia had already purchased that English property months before the election even happened. The political excuse was a script, a prepared narrative, a smokescreen designed to hide the real reason they were running. They weren't fleeing Trump. They were fleeing the Epstein files.
A source close to Ellen and her wife, Portia de Rossi, told The Wrap that the couple has placed their Montecito home on the market and have decided to relocate to the Cotswolds in England due to the political climate in the United States.
And the receipts prove it. The house was bought before the election. The art was sold before the election. The mansions were listed before the election. Every move had already been made. The political story was just damage control wrapped around a guilty escape. But here's what makes this even crazier. The warning signs were there years ago. The 2020 toxic workplace scandal, that was just the trailer. The full movie was always Epstein. Investigation after investigation revealed a workplace that operated more like a dictatorship than a TV show. Employees weren't even allowed to make eye contact with Ellen. One makeup artist said when he tried small talk, she snapped, "Who do you think you are? Don't look at me." Read that line again. That's not a quirky boss. That's someone who genuinely believes the people around her aren't human.
One makeup artist was quoted as saying that when he tried to make small talk with Ellen, she supposedly said, "Who do you think you are? Don't look at me."
And Hollywood already knew. That's the part that should make your blood boil. Once the workplace story started breaking, the floodgates opened. Brad Garrett, Leah Thompson, Margaret Cho, Dakota Johnson, name after name confirming that Ellen's behavior wasn't a secret. It was an open industry rumor. Everyone knew. Everyone stayed quiet. Because that's how Hollywood works. You speak up, you get blacklisted. You stay silent, you keep working. And the human cost of that silence, it's worse than anyone wants to admit.
I just wanted to say the past 11 days have been really tough for everyone. But to honor Twitch, I think the best thing that we can do is to laugh and hug each other.
Stephen Twitch Boss, the DJ on Ellen's show for years. The smile of that whole production. The guy who made everyone in the audience happy just by existing. When the workplace scandal exploded in 2020, Ellen pressured him to defend her publicly, to go on camera and tell the world Ellen was a good person, a good boss, a good friend. He did it, and his wife later said the weight of that pressure, the shame of defending someone he may have known wasn't worth defending, played a major role in what happened to him. Imagine carrying that. Imagine knowing what really went on behind the scenes, knowing the connections to Diddy, knowing what might have happened on the island, and being forced to smile and lie for the cameras anyway.
He was going through so much, and he was hiding so much, and there must have been a lot of shame in that, and he was wrestling with a lot inside himself, and he was trying to self-medicate and cope with all those feelings because he didn't want to put it on anyone.
In December 2022, Twitch was gone. The show had ended. His routine had ended, and according to people close to him, he was still drowning in the aftermath of being weaponized as Ellen's character witness. And he isn't the only name surrounded by uncomfortable questions. There's Nhechi, Ellen's ex-girlfriend, the relationship that ended badly, the breakup nobody talks about.
The second you hear that it may be coming, get out of the way.
Wow.
Yeah. Don't wait.
And died in a car accident in 2022. Tragic on its own. But then the reports started coming, and had been working on a tell-all documentary at the time of her death. A project that would have exposed her time with Ellen and the world she had been pulled into. That project never saw the light of day, and the questions never got answered.
You broke up with her because she had a lot of money, or you broke up with her because...
I broke up with her because her goal was to have a lot of money, and mine was to find love, and hers was I want 60 billion. Good luck. Our forks are never going to meet. The further we stay on with this, the further we will be apart.
And then there's the way Ellen treated the most vulnerable people who walked onto her stage. Justin Bieber, a kid, a literal child the first time he sat across from her. And Ellen, every single appearance, pushed him, drilled him about his personal life, about his trauma, about things no host should ever pressure a minor about on camera. People want to remember that as a fun friendship. It wasn't. Watch the footage. Justin is uncomfortable. He's stiff. He's giving polite, careful answers because he doesn't have the power yet to push back. And Ellen knew that. She knew exactly how much she could get away with.
I was just talking about just it being a new chapter for me and basically saying that I'm sorry for the stuff that I've done. And it's not like I'm not searching for people's approval, but I just want people to know that that's not me. And I was doing stuff that wasn't me.
She was testing him. Testing all of them, seeing how far she could go before someone said no. And almost no one ever did. Then there's her relationship with Diddy, the on-camera flirting, the joking about his lifestyle, the way she casually referenced parties everyone now knows weren't parties at all. People who understand how that world really works describe Ellen as a gatekeeper, a bridge, someone who used her platform to introduce young, hungry, easily manipulated talent to the worst people in the industry. She wasn't a bystander. She was a recruiter with a daytime time slot.
Let's show a picture of you at, was it like a 70s themed birthday party? Or was that just a look that you decided to go with that night?
It was a 70 themed Soul Train party, but this is me once every first week of the month on a Friday night.
What are you holding there?
I'm holding my package.
Because you are.
Yeah.
Somebody's got to do it.
Even Joe Rogan saw it. He said it on his podcast. Ellen's nice act always felt performed. Forced. Like watching someone read kindness off a cue card instead of feeling it.
Ellen's rough. That's
Ellen
a
is
rough
like
one.
an old.
But it's a rough one now.
It's a rough one now because she was running Abu Ghraib in the back of her show.
He talked about a specific kind of arrogance you see in certain Hollywood elites. A belief that the rules don't apply to them. That they're untouchable. That the audience is too stupid to ever figure them out. And when you stack that mindset next to everything we now know about Ellen, the panic selling, the international flight, the Epstein paperwork, the Wayfair connection, the studio set replica, it all clicks.
When you see, like, a lot of people saying that someone who seems so nice is not nice at all.
She doesn't seem nice, but that people have a very poor judge of character. She doesn't seem nice. It seems forced.
Meanwhile, from her stone house in the English countryside, Ellen watched Hollywood activate its full damage control machine. The statements came out fast. Her name is just one of 300. It's a peripheral mention. She barely knew him. All the same playbook, used every time a powerful person gets named. But the public isn't buying it anymore. Because you don't end up on those flight logs by accident. You don't get on that island by mistake. You don't get repeatedly referenced in investigative materials because someone scrolled past you in a phone book. Access in that world is earned, trusted, protected, and the media's frantic attempt to drown the truth in noise, different headlines, different excuses, different narratives every week, only proves how much they're trying to protect.
I don't think Hollywood's really ready for her return. I think they will continue to punish her, but I do have some intel for you from her current neighbors in the UK. They don't like her. They aren't friendly towards her, and they hate all of the celebrities like Ellen moving into this once sacred and anonymous area and disturbing and in some cases disrespecting the culture.
But the truth is leaking out anyway. Article by article, file by file, witness by witness. And the one person they can't silence is the one person they wrote off 20 years ago, Rosie O'Donnell. By moving to Ireland, she stepped completely outside their reach, outside their networks, outside the pressure points they normally use to bury people. She's untouchable, and she knows it.
And the beast we're fighting is not just that round guy in an orange spray tan. It's a big cabal of powerful white men, and it's time to end it.
When Rosie posted that Epstein photo and held her line through the backlash, she sent a message louder than any interview could. She's not afraid. She's not negotiating. She's not stopping. And there's something almost poetic in how this is ending. While Ellen was auctioning off paintings and dumping mansions and sneaking out of America in the dead of night, Rosie was quietly building a peaceful new life across the ocean. One woman ran because she was guilty. The other moved because she finally felt safe enough to talk. That contrast tells you everything. And that's the real story here. It's not just about what Ellen did or didn't do. It's about the fact that someone who held the truth for 30 years finally decided silence wasn't worth it anymore, no matter how powerful the people on the other end of that truth happened to be. Ellen DeGeneres, the woman who once owned the most watched time slot in daytime television, the woman Hollywood lined up to please, the woman who built $1 billion empire on the words "be kind," now lives in permanent exile. A stone house in the Cotswolds. No studio. No cameras. No applause. Although reports are already coming in that she may be quietly returning to California, settling into a new home, testing the waters to see if America has forgotten. America hasn't forgotten. And the worst part for her, she knows the truth is out, and no amount of PR can put it back in the box. Ask yourself one question. Would an innocent person fire sale $10 million in art? Would an innocent person dump historic mansions for tens of millions below ask? Would an innocent person flee the country in the middle of the night and tell friends they're never coming back? That's not what wrongly accused people do. That's what guilty people do when they hear footsteps behind them. The panic is the confession. And the Be Kind brand? It's ash. T-shirts in landfills. Hashtags rotting in old timelines. A slogan that became a punchline. What's left is the truth about Hollywood, about Epstein's network, and about how many smiling faces on our screens were never the people they pretended to be. Ellen is just the first name we're finishing with. She won't be the last. If you want to go deeper into Ellen's dark side, the next video is waiting for you. Thank you for being part of this channel. It genuinely means everything.